My name is Wendy Boswell. I have been a Hall County DFACS foster parent for 14 years now. During that time, we've had 50 children come through our home. 5 of them have stayed forever, and the rest have found their way back to their parents or to a relative, or in a few cases, they were adopted by someone else. I'm here today because I want to show you the heart of a foster parent, and I want to help you understand a little bit about what's important to us when it comes to our relationship with caseworkers. Our caseworker is kind of our lifeline. In Hall County right now, we don't have an RD worker, so that's even more so true than when we do have one. Our caseworker is the person who lets us know what's going on. She's the person, he or she is the person who can, sign the forms that we can't sign to give us permission to do the things that we need to do. So it's really important for us to have a good relationship with them. And I think the first way that we can do that is if we communicate with each other. When a child comes into our care, especially at the beginning, we really do need a lot of things. We have to have them to the doctor's office within a certain amount of time. A lot of them have never seen a dentist, and they need so much dental work that we can't sign for that. And we need to communicate with you all to get the things that we need. We have a lot of other things to do too. We're not trying to bug you. We really aren't. If we call, we really do need something. There's a lot of other ways that we can communicate. We can email. I'm the queen of texting. So if you text me, I will text you back. And that's kind of a quick and easy way to get information back and forth. But my suggestion and my hope is that we would establish this thing from the very beginning, that we would be able to exchange phone numbers and emails and information right from the get-go, so that we can open a line of communication and keep that line open, because there are a lot of us that work and can't always make it to the court hearings and can't always make it to the family team meetings and other things. And so we don't really know what's going on in the case. We don't often get a case plan sometimes. So we really don't know where we are in the process of where the child in our care is. Are we close to going home? Are we not close to going home? When is the next court hearing? Unless we hear those things from you, we don't get them. And so we value your communication with us greatly, and we really want it. And not having it is a real frustration to every foster. That's what I hear more than anything else about what foster parents need and what they don't get. It's communication with their caseworkers. We want to be able to call you and get a response back. And we know that you are not going to drop everything, and that's fine. We're good with that. Within 24 or to 48 hours is great, unless it's really an emergency. And if it is, we'll let you know, and then we really do need something quick. But if we could just exchange information right away, you have all of our phone numbers, we have all of yours, email, and all of that. That would be, I think that honestly would alleviate so many of the other issues that we have. Because a lot of times we as foster parents go in with this preconceived notion that caseworkers don't ever contact us. And a lot of times caseworkers come in with the preconceived notion that foster parents, they're so high maintenance, they always are wanting something. And neither one of those things are true. And I think that if we can, from the get-go, start communicating, even if it was 5 minutes a week, just to touch base with each other, just to say, hey, this is what's going on. We had 2 visits this week. It went great. Or, hey, we've got court coming up. I want to give you the date. That would help out so much. And I think the whole relationship between foster parent and caseworker would just be so much better. And we know as foster parents that you guys have so much to do. And we know that with the court changes and how much you have to be in court, and we know that these kids are placed all over the state and you have so much driving to do. We know that. We're not trying to stretch you any further. We really aren't. But there are things that we need. When we have a child in our house, we're responsible for them. And we need to get them the things they need. And sometimes we can't do that without you. So we really do value you being a part of our ability to take care of the kids in our home, because we cannot do it without you. I want you to know that we appreciate you. We do. I know it doesn't seem like it all the time. I know sometimes you all get really frustrated with us, and I am the first person to say that foster parents can be very high maintenance. I am the president of the Foster Parent Association, and I see it and I hear it. They really can be. But we want you to know that we appreciate you guys. We know how hard you work, and I know sometimes we don't let you know that that's the way we feel, and sometimes you only see the frustrated side of us. But we really do appreciate you guys. I think the second thing that's the most important that I know I hardly ever get, and everybody that I know that I talk to didn't either, is the paperwork that we need. And I know a lot of times, caseworker, you don't bring us the child, but we need that form that says that the children are in our care. Very rarely do we get that when they first come into our home. And if we had to go to the emergency room that night, we have no proof that that child is with us and in foster care. And then there are some other forms that we really need. The form that gives us at least a little bit of information that you do have about them. I had one child once that was allergic to milk, and I had no idea of that. And I got her in the middle of the night, and in the morning we got up, we're having breakfast, I give her a big old glass of milk, and I get a call. Did you know she's allergic to milk? Well, she had already drank it. So it was too late. Those things can be prevented to a certain extent if we have those papers. Even if it only has a name and birth date on it, at least that's something for us. Also, especially things like medical things. I know a lot of times you don't know. I know. And a lot of times I know that the birth parents aren't forthcoming in information. But any scrap of information that you do know about a child when they come in is invaluable to us. So really those are the two big things, communication and paperwork. If we could get those, I think things on our end, the foster parent end, would be so much better. Because we would be able to do the things that we need to do. Me speaking for every foster parent, we just want to thank you guys. I always tell people I would never be a caseworker. Of course, they always tell me I would never be a foster parent. And it's funny, people have gifts and talents and passions. And honestly, foster parent and caseworker are not very far apart. Sometimes it seems like we're worlds apart, but we're really not far apart at all. We both want the same thing. We want what's best for the children in our care. We want to protect them. We want to love on them. We get attached to them. I know you all do too. No one probably gets more attached than us, but we're very close together. But sometimes we feel like we're worlds apart. But there's ways to fix that, and I know the biggest one is communication. If we just talk to each other, let down all the notions, all the things that you hear from other people, and just open up the lines of communication. And I just know things would be better. I know that they would. Like I said, I'm the queen of texting, and so are most foster parents. I mean, we text each other all the time. That's the quickest and easiest way to get business done, is just shoot a text. Hey, we had 2 visits this week, and they went great. Email, phone calls, and then again the paperwork that we need. Those 2 things are huge, and there are others. I know that there are, but those are the 2 big things. I just want to thank you all again for what you do. You are invaluable to us. You really are. We could not do what we do without you, and we do thank you. From all the foster parents, from me, thank you.
So Donna, I was just curious, how long have you been fostering now?
We have been fostering 5 years. 5 years. How about you?
We've been fostering a little over 10 years now.
Oh, that's a
Working,
long time.
yeah, directly with the local defects agency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are a defects home as well. So, what kind of things have you seen since you've been doing it twice as long as I have?
Yeah, well, one of the things that we've been noticing in relation to working with the caseworkers, we've noticed or experienced sometimes where we don't feel like our caseworker has been completely honest with us about what's going on in the case, or particularly to the child, and that doesn't feel very good in a relationship, to not feel like you can trust that they're telling you the truth or the whole truth.
Wow, that's a pretty big issue. What ways did you kind of use to help correct that, or help bring it to the case manager's attention?
Well, we went through our RD first, I guess, and spoke with her about the situation, and then was able to sit down with the caseworker. But kind of what had happened in our situation was that we had a teenager in our home who had texted, I guess, or went to the caseworker saying that he was interested in living with a biological grandparent. And the caseworker never brought it to our attention that she was putting that plan into full swing. And so by the time I came to know about it, it still wasn't from the caseworker. It was by a situation of conversation with the actual teenager. And so therefore finding out that all sorts of things had already been put in motion, and they were about to move him at any time without ever considering telling us.
Wow, that is a pretty pretty big trust issue.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And we had that child in our home for 15 months. It wasn't like it was just a new thing or that in the plan that we had already committed that we were open to even adopting this child. So the whole case plan was looking kind of long term for this to kind of happen and go the way that it did.
So how did you overcome it? I mean, did the RD help? And
The RD helped us be
facilitate.
able to have a conversation with the caseworker and be able to point out that there was, things that maybe weren't handled in the best way that they could, or that, in the future they need to be, upfront and honest with the foster parents. We're the adults in the home. We're making sure that everybody's needs are met, or that things are handled in a way for our particular family. And so they did help us explain that with her. And so I don't know moving forward, because the child did move, I don't know really how that would have played out differently in our relationship because the child was moved. So have you had any concerns as you worked with any of the caseworkers?
I've had a few. One of my concerns is being treated as an actual team player, an important part of the team. Being told about court dates or even having family team meetings. I can't.
That's something missing.
I can't remember the last family team meeting that we had, where everybody is coming together and really working for the best interest of the child.
And I think that does. I think it makes a difference for the child because the bio family's there. I think it's everybody coming and brainstorming and getting on the same page.
Mm-hmm. And even something as simple as getting the case plans a lot of times, or even notification of court dates. When you have to find out from CASA or guardian ad litem when the phone rings and they're asking for that appointment to talk to the child because a court date's coming up and you know nothing about the court date.
I had that same thing happen to us in another case. The ad litem's the one that contacted us, and we had no idea that court was in 2 days.
Mm-hmm. So I think those are some really good issues that need to be brought up to the caseworker. And I have sent an email because mine is recent, so it has not quite been resolved yet. So, but hopefully in the future we can look towards maybe that being a better communication
I think so too.
between case manager and foster parent.
Yeah, we've had caseworkers where it's went really well, and a lot of the things that we're talking about fell into place, and it does just make a difference. And I think drawing from that experience makes a negative experience even stand out to you more.
It does. We've had a lot of good caseworkers that were right on it with paperwork, but I do feel too now that there is such a large increase in the number of placements that it does make it a little bit more difficult for them. And I try to understand, but at the same time, feel like they need to give us these important things.
Right. There's just certain things we need in order to meet the needs the best we can.
Yeah.
My name is Wayne Holden. I'm from Catoosa County, I've been a foster parent. We're going on 11 years, and we've had about 43 kids in our house, and we usually take sibling groups, and we've done it because we love to deal with kids. Okay, I think we can strengthen them by the communications first, because if we all work together, it'd be a lot easier on us. And then if we could take and depend on we felt like we could depend on our, the staff workers to help us out. Okay, we like depending on through the emails, that they respond back to our emails. And even if they delay 24 hours, I mean, at least we can feel like we're getting some communication back with them. And then when we get foster kids, if we could get information on the kids, and we know they don't get we don't have all the information, but as they get it, like through the family or through the the medical staff, just take and let us know as we get what we're expecting on the kids. I guess if they were more involved, if we had their meetings, we used to have team meetings. Now we don't have team meetings anymore, and so if we did that, we'd have the foster parent and then the adoptive parent, or the parents of the kids, and then the staff were there, kind of begin to work on involving to get the kids back to their house. Like the importance of the family and team meetings. It's that way that the family and the foster parents and the biological family and the DFACS workers, we know their plans, how they're going, and how we can help with theirs.
My name is Sherry. My husband and I have been fostering for a little over 6 years now. We've had right at 90 children come through our doors, and we take all age ranges. We're really excited today because today was adoption day for the first time for us. We adopted a 16-year-old, and it was very exciting. I think communication is key, and not just communication, but honest communication, and that begins from placement or before placement. When we get that initial call, we need to have as much information as possible so that we know that if that placement's going to work with our family, with the other children in our home. My husband and I will work with several issues or disabilities, but we have to know what's going on with the child so that we'll know if it works with the children in our home. And and that's best for the children, for DFACS as well, because if we've not gotten all of that communication from the beginning, then we take the child in and there are things that we don't know. We might find that it doesn't work for our family and it doesn't work for the children that are already there. So then we could be looking at a disruption, and then the child would need another placement. And also, we love working as partnership parents with our bio families. So if we've gotten all that information, then we're able to work with the bio families and further reunification. The caseworkers and the foster parents are working together, and everyone's interested in the best interest of the child, then that caseworker would become like a family member to us. And that's the most beneficial to a child, is to be in the most family-like setting. I did mention information from placement, but we also need information as it's received by the caseworkers. We're open to any type of communication, phone, text, or email, but what I really like is when the caseworkers come out to do their face-to-face visit, because then I know that you're sitting in front of us and we're getting that personal one-on-one attention. You're also able to see, how we're interacting with the children in the home, and if we're needing resources, it would better give you an opportunity to see what type of resources we need.
Hello, we're Justin and Jill Richards from Carroll County. We are foster parents. We began fostering in 2011, and we were foster to adopt parents at that time. But after we wrapped up our adoption, we realized the great need for foster parents in our county, and so we switched our status from foster to adopt to foster. And we now have 3 little girls in our home, and we are enjoying our role as foster parents.
One of the things that we have realized in our journey in foster care is the importance of communication between case manager and foster parent. And those realities have become evident even as we were just speaking earlier about how quickly things will change. We got a phone call last weekend about a young child that needed to come into care, and we were willing and ready to have that child in our home, but we had no information. And that's one of the things that's really important about case managers, getting that information out and helping us understand the situation that the children are in. And the same thing holds true, even something as simple as an interview like today. A court case can come up, a situation can come up at school, and that information needs to be relayed to foster parents and then back to the case manager so that we have clear lines of communication, because we realize that each one of these situations is very different and very fluid. And so it helps out with us as foster parents relaying all the information that we have, but then it's also very important to get all the information we can from our case managers just to help the children and help us as we do our job and work together with the Department of Family and Children's Services. I'm sure Jill's had some personal experiences that maybe she would like to share that we've kind of dealt with over the past few years in foster care.
One thing that I think has helped in our situation in communicating with our case manager has been to first of all find out the most convenient method of communication for our case manager, whether it be email, text, phone calls, and just once we have that established, when urgent matters come up, we can get those addressed quickly, and also be able to relay urgent matters to the case manager if some sort of action needs to be taken, or if there is something that needs to be handled on the case manager's end. Also, to be sure to give current information to our case manager so she can also contact us as needed and without delay.
So over the past, I guess, 4 or 5 years, we've learned how important it is to know each case manager. We've worked with probably 6 or 7 over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. And so it's been really important for us to do exactly what Jill's talking about, to understand what works best for them. For some case managers, a text works great, an email works great, and others, a phone call works great. But that's figuring out that is a real important part of the process, is just knowing what works for everybody. And then we know this in every relationship. The key is communication. So as long as we're keeping those lines open, we know that we're going to be effective. So that's how we try to do a good job helping our case managers, but that's one of the ways that case managers can really help us out, is being able to have those clear lines of communication and knowing what works best.